Well, hello everybody and welcome back. It is Jeff again coming to you with another episode of the Survivor recap from the Minecraft Vanilla server. Now in 1.92, and I don't know the difference between 1.9 and 1.92, and I think it was in 1.92 last time as well. So it really doesn't matter, but either way, today's going to be a relatively short recap because for one, I'm only dealing with 1 week, and for two, there's only a few things to talk about in this particular episode of Survivor. Could have didn't trample that wheat. Basically, we start out with Jason talking about his autistic daughter. And, you know, it's kind of interesting. I normally would have looked at what he was talking about and the way he said it as a way for him to buy points and votes for the jury. And who knows? Maybe it truly was in the end of everything, but I honestly don't think it was. He straight up said that he wasn't going to use his daughter for anything. If people asked, he was not going to lie. He was going to talk about it, but he was not there to use his kids. And yes, he did talk about them, and yes, he did say some things that would make people... It seems like he was trying to get attention from people, but I just... The way it came about, I'm not 100% certain that the way he went about that was him at all trying to actually gain jury votes. It might be something that's going to work out very well in his favor because it will... that's much better. Because it will actually help him get jury votes in the end if he makes it that far. But I honestly think it was kind of a respectable way to do it. But at the same time, I also don't know about the cuts and the way that they do things in there. But basically, he has an autistic child. One of his two daughters is autistic, and he spends a lot of time going to all these different therapies and things like that. And I don't know, it was actually really kind of sweet and endearing, even though I really don't like that guy and the way that he treats other people. And I was kind of mad at him the whole time, just saying to myself, like, if you have this autistic daughter and you talk about how much you like love trying to help people and, you know, how you would do anything for your daughter and all this stuff that you do and what kind of person that has made you, why you treated somebody on your other tribe like such an ass is beyond me. But, you know, I gotta give it to the man. He deals with a lot of things in his life, and I got some a little bit more respect for the man than I had before. So Jason, I don't necessarily hope that you win this game, but I'm not as upset to see you around anymore because of that story. So maybe it did exactly what you wanted it to do, and it pulled some, you know, pulled some heartstrings for some people to make them like you more. If it was a ploy, and if it was a ploy, good work. Johnny Fairplay style, you know, with his dead grandma and everything. But, you know, I don't know. We'll see how it works out. But either way, they go to a reward challenge, and this reward challenge is for ice cream. Now, I don't know about you guys, and it didn't come up in this show, and I know when I did the recap before with Good, we talked about a similar thing in a candy reward challenge. When you're out with like kind of a lack of food and the only sustenance you're going to get is by overindulging in like sweets and chocolate, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. I don't have any more wood. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. I think it can be a very detrimental to your actions and your feeling in general, because I think you're just going to get a sugar high and then feel like shit the whole time. But it never really comes up as a big problem. So either way, it's for basically as much ice cream as you want. I think it's as much ice cream as you want. They actually didn't go into that much, but it was for ice cream. And it was split up since, you know, they are now no longer teams, it's all individual, but they split them up sometimes into teams for the concept of challenges like this. So it was a schoolyard pick, which yet again, they did not show the schoolyard pick. That's Survivor's style, is that they don't show the schoolyard pick for some reason, but you ended up having team captains of Julia and Aubrey, and they went with different strategies. Julia kind of went with like straight up similar people across the board, similar body types and body styles, like your average build, whereas Julia went with two of the shortest and two of the tallest and strongest people. And that's honestly the thought process I would have gone with as well, because what the challenge was you had to guide somebody across the water, only one, with these two platforms. So you're holding these two platforms in the water, just one long pole at the bottom and a platform at the top, and you have to walk somebody from a relatively long distance across the water to get to the other platform. And if you fall off at all, you have to start over from the very beginning. And in that part of the challenge, there's only 2 platforms, so you got to move somebody literally to one of the platforms and then move the secondary platform so that they can continue moving across by moving the other platform in front of them. And if you don't have strong enough people holding those platforms for you, then you're going to run into problems. And that's kind of exactly what happened. And Scott and Nick were on one team together, really tall and strong people, as well as, you know, somebody like Ty and Julia. So they were on these things. So Julia's walking across the platforms. Ty's really not doing much in the water. He's doing what he can, but he's a short guy. But you got Scott and Nick who are like towering outside of the water. So they're more able to get a steady hold on the top of these platforms and keep them more secure. And Julia ends up getting across this thing like a champ. Whereas on the other side, those, I will just spoil it right now. The people on the other side of the reward challenge didn't even get past the first phase, because this is only the first phase of the challenge. They couldn't even get past that phase. The second phase after you do all that was to move the... Everybody jumps like onto this platform, and then they have to all get on or above a platform, all 5 of them, for at least 3 seconds. Small platform, and you got these huge people now, like Scott and Nick, which is where the bigger people are going to be at a disadvantage. But at the same time, I kept yelling the whole time. I was like, Ty, just get on Scott's shoulders. Ty, get on Scott's shoulders. That's what's going to like get you guys there. But they ended up being able to very easily. The platform was pretty wide, so they were very easily able to just like get up on this platform and win the challenge. And the other team literally did not get more than like 1 or 2 steps over the first section, and they had to get like, I don't know, it was like 15 or 20. It was like I said, not short, and they just got dominated in this challenge. So all these people get to eat ice cream. But I will tell you, one thing that I disliked about the way that they did this challenge is they didn't get to go somewhere and eat ice cream. Ice cream was delivered to camp, and they had to eat ice cream in front of everybody else. And though that didn't seem to be much of a problem, Jason even like yelled over to them at one point. He's like, hey guys, look, you guys are being quiet. You're all huddled in the corner. He's like, you guys just won a challenge, a reward challenge. You got ice cream. Be excited. Talk about it. Just like have fun. And I couldn't tell if that was out of frustration for him or if he really doesn't care. But for one, yeah, it's difficult because you now have to share ice cream in front of all your, I think I went the wrong way, in front of all your tribe mates. Or not tribe mates, in front of everybody else, which could, in theory, piss some people off, and I'm sure that's why they do this. But I really feel that when people win a reward challenge, that having the opportunity to get away from camp with the group that you just won with is an awesome opportunity for people to start being able to build these alliances that otherwise wouldn't be built. So I really wish they had gone away, because they literally were just like, you know, 5 feet away from the other people, and they said that they were just talking to each other and that they couldn't really try to strategize or anything like that because the other team was right there. And I think that kind of deters from the reward, is because I wanted them to actually get together with people who normally wouldn't be together and see what kind of alliances would start forming out of that stuff. But unfortunately, that is not how it went down. But either way, in the meantime, everybody is discussing, you know, what's going to happen depending on, you know, based on who wins the challenge, who are people going to vote for. And it's pretty clearly obvious that the Brawn tribe is going to get picked off. They are lesser of them than everybody else combined. The Brains and the Beauty have kind of formed, or excuse me, the Brains tribe, I mean. The Brawn and the Beauty have kind of formed an alliance, which means the Brains tribe is the one that everybody is kind of singling out. And there's less of them when you combine those alliances like that. So Nick is talking about this in a very arrogant way, as well as the fact that he's a little concerned that there's an all-girls alliance happening. So he's kind of pulling people aside and asking them, like, in a quite obvious way. This is annoying. In a quite obvious way, he's asking if there are, is a girls' alliance going on with Julia, who's his, like, you know, comrade and everything like that. And it really pisses off Sydney. So Sydney is, like, asking herself questions from, you know, the get-go on, okay, what's really going on? I don't like Nick. I don't like the way Nick is acting. I don't like what he's doing. She's got some other plans in her mind that, you know, as you're watching the show, you're not sure if she's serious, not serious, because she's kind of got this alliance still with Brawn, and does she really want to ruin that or not? But she's just getting a little frustrated with the way people are acting. So what's going to happen is anybody's game at this point. But they go to immunity challenge, which the immunity challenge was kind of one of those cool ones. I really like these ones. It was, they make, sorry about that, guys. It was a noise my computer's making. But they make these perches that people have to stand on with basically just the backs of their heels on this perch and hold their hands behind their head. And they have to stand there for as long as they can. Last man standing wins. Last man or woman standing wins. Normally in these type of challenges, there is a very normal progression of, at certain intervals, there is a temptation that's given to see if people feel comfortable with a step down. And in this one, Jeff makes it pretty clear from quite early on that, look, I'm going to give you guys a temptation. And I'm going to give you a temptation only once. So if you feel comfortable right now, when I give this first temptation, it's the only chance you get. So let me go get the food and show you what you're going to be going for. So he leaves to go get the food. And Julia steps down. She didn't step down thinking that she was getting the food. She just stepped down because she literally couldn't wait the next minute to try to wait for the challenge. So Jeff comes back with this huge buffet. Literally pizzas, like chicken wings, and like ridiculous amounts of food. And he's like, Julia, I wish I had seen that. I didn't even get to see you like fall down. Unfortunately, you don't get to participate in this at all. And she's like, I know. Like, sorry, I just couldn't hang in there anymore. And then he gives people the opportunity to step down. Now, what shocked me here was that, you know, Scott and Jason stepped down. I kind of expected that because they are not only arrogant, but they kind of know that they're safe in this particular, you know, tribal that's going to come up no matter who wins. So they are willing to give up immunity for it. That didn't shock me. Michelle didn't really shock me that much. She was the third person that stepped down. The fourth person that stepped down, or not really in that order, but of the four people that stepped down, the other person that stepped down was Joe. And I'm not 100% certain why Joe stepped down, because Joe is one of those people who's on the chopping block. And I don't know if he doesn't care anymore or if he just doesn't know what's going on, but he is not the smartest guy in my opinion, because he's on the brains drive, but he just doesn't seem to have really situational awareness of what's happening, or he's not getting the camera time to show a lot of his thoughts, because he doesn't really say too much. He's such a minuscule character at this point that I don't think that there can be any way that this man goes to like the end. I'm surprised he made it as far as he did with how little of like airtime he really gets, but he's still there. He's still trucking. So I don't know anymore. With the way that Survivor cuts stuff, I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen like ever. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But Joe steps down. Now Ty does not step down, which shocked me, not because I think that Ty was thinks he's in a position that he doesn't need to, but he was in so much, like having so much trouble with this challenge from the very beginning that I was sure he was going to be the first one down, and he was just trying to hold out until he was able to get the temptation, because he was struggling the entire time. The entire time he just struggled, and I was waiting for him to step down, and he just didn't. So good for Ty for trying to stick it out there, which amazingly turned out to be awesome, because as the challenge progressed on, the two people that ended up being left at the end is Sydney and Ty, and Sydney is a freaking bodybuilder. This is like the type of stuff that she does. I guess that's not really what she does, but she is so fit and in shape, and she is a statue the entire time, like not an ounce of movement on that woman. And Ty is just in so much pain the entire time, and out of nowhere, after like 40 some odd minutes, Sydney all of a sudden just drops, and Ty wins, and it was crazy. I don't think anybody expected it to happen. I don't think Ty expected it to happen. And then Ty, like, they both fall on the ground because they're both so weak from what just happened. And Ty rolls over and gives her a hug to show, like, oh, you're such a good competitor. Like, Ty's just such a nice guy, like Ty. And I'm so happy to see Ty with immunity, which is awesome. Ty with immunity. And I don't actually think he was in trouble this time, but he still has that idol. He is still chilling with an idol that who knows what's going to happen with. And Scott still has the idol as well. So it's like, The third idol got, that guy got evacuated, who is now back for a, he's now back on the jury, so he was okay to start his antibiotics or whatever, and he is now on the jury and still allowed to participate in the game, but he has an idol still, so he's out with an idol, which is kind of, annoying that an idol had to go out of the game in the way that it did, but, that is what happens. But the other two idols are still in play. Like, nobody's used an idol yet. Nobody got voted out with an idol. It was just an unexpected, medical poll with the idol. So two idols are still out there and still around that are going to really, we're coming down to the wire here. They're going to be very important soon. I think you can use them up to actually, I don't even know if this time if you can use them through Final Four or only up till Final Four. I guess time will tell with that one. So that'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. But in the meantime, Tribal Council is about to happen, or let's say at Tribal Council, and that there's been talks, and Nick, before Tribal Council, goes and talks to Aubrey to basically say, hey, look, we're splitting the vote because we're not really sure if there's another idol out there or not, because they don't know really what happened to Neil's idol. And he straight up just tells her, like, you're going to be one of the people we're splitting votes for. Debbie's going to go home, though. I just want to, make sure you're in the know. He's like, but, it's not really going to help you much, but you're in the know. And he even goes to the camera and he's like, yeah, I know I'm acting arrogant. And he even tells Aubrey, I know I'm acting arrogant, but, that's just how it is. And he's right. So he thinks, because, Sydney is already really mad at him for being so arrogant. So how right is he really? Tribal Council is what's going to be what finds that out. So flash forward, Tribal Council. I don't remember a lot of the crazy little banter back and forth, but it was nothing too crazy, than a normal Tribal Council banter. But lo and behold, Nick is the final one that gets booted, which means Sydney has swayed the entire game, because the entire game was Beauty and Brawn together, and now you just all of a sudden not only got a Beauty out of there, but one of the Brawn is the one that switched that vote all around, so she's going to be switching to a different alliance, I assume. I'm not 100% certain of that. I guess the next episode will tell. So I think Sydney has the power in the game, depending on how she spins this. She could be enemy numero uno for both the Beauty and the Brawn. But if she plays it right and can kind of come up with an excuse of why she had to do that, she might be able to play both sides for a little while without them really realizing what's going on. It's going to be a hard sell. But if anybody can do it, I think Sydney might be able to do it. Come up with some random story about Nick was teetering and talking about some other things that I didn't like, and I knew we had to get him out of here while we had the chance. He's a power player and blah, blah, blah. I don't know, but I think she can do something with that. But I will say, I did not like Nick from the beginning. I was not a fan of Nick. However, now that Nick is gone, I'm actually sad that he's gone, because he, in his exit interview, I think he was way smarter. He didn't play necessarily that smart because he played the arrogant card, which got him eventually, booted. He was way smarter than I gave him credit for in the first place, and he left with his head held so high. He said, you know what? I got arrogant. I shouldn't have gotten arrogant and acted the way I did, and I got voted out, and deservedly so. Yeah, good for them. They got me out. I wish I was still there, but yep, that's kind of what they needed to do, because I was going to run this game. He was just so straight up honest that, yep, I got arrogant, and yep, they should have voted me out. They absolutely should have voted me out, and I just wish they hadn't, but they absolutely should have. So, basically kudos and go on with the game, fellas. I'll be there to, vote for a winner at the end. And I was like, damn, what a stand-up, respectable guy. I thought he was going to be kind of an asshole about it, or kind of like, oh, God, they made the biggest mistake of their lives. Now there's going to be vengeance. I'm not going to vote for any of them. I'm going to vote for the person they least expect, to win this money, not my alliance. Nope, he was, so cool about it. I'm like, man, now I kind of wish that Nick was still around, because I'm curious how he would have played the rest of the game. But either way, short and sweet recap of Survivor this week. Guys, stay tuned for next time.